Meeting started, so I would like everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for those who have come before us. Thank you. Okay, welcome to our board meeting of June 10th, 2026. I'm calling it to order at 6 o'clock at the town hall. We have three emergency exits, one directly in front of us, one up to the left, and one immediately to the right out the hallway. In case you need that, please make sure that all cell phones are silenced during the meeting so we don't have any interruptions. Also, if you're having any difficulty hearing, the acoustics sound pretty good tonight. So, but if you do have any trouble hearing, please let us know. And we'd like to welcome everybody, of course, who's sitting at home and watching our meeting as well. Okay. All right, we'll move ahead right now, and I would like to start out with supervisor comments. A couple of things I want to talk about briefly. Number one, you've probably seen the work on Lakeshore Road with our highway department assistants and contractors. Lakeshore Road's really looking good, folks. Drove by it just the other day, and it's kudos to the highway department for making sure things run smoothly. We've got more road work to do this summer, so stay tuned. We'll keep making them better for you to drive. This Saturday at the Spinning Wheel Restaurant, there's going to be an event called Cicero Fest. It is not a town event. It is actually run by the Plank Road Chamber of Commerce. But we are going to participate in it by having a booth. We're going to do informational things for the town. We'll have things like dog licenses and all sorts of stuff like that, paperwork. Parks and Rec Department loaded us up with all of their programs, senior center, canteen, everything. We've got it all. So we're going to spend the day there, and we're just going to talk to folks about Cicero if they have any questions. And we've put together an informational sheet that's for frequently asked questions. So when people say, how do I do? Well, this is who you contact and this is where you go. So it should be pretty good on the informational side. So if you're in the area, it's a great event. Stop by, say hi, and we'll go from there. All right, last thing I want to talk about a little bit about, we had a situation where we had a plaque for Joan Kessel, and through the meeting we decided not to put it up, but I think we've kind of want to talk a little bit about that. It was brought up to me that maybe that deserved a little bit more discussion because we do have that plaque, and it would be nice to honor her. So I would like to be able to put it up. I don't know what the board members are feeling. This is not a motion. This is just basically a discussion to see if people's minds have evolved forward on this. So I'm going to open up the floor in my comments.
I would agree that we have the plaque, and we're going to, put it on the wall, and that we're going to look at a new method going forward, taking into some of the requests that were brought to our attention, to recognize the past elected officials.
Okay. Any other counselors have anything to say about that or at this point?
I guess just going forward, let's make sure that when we make decisions like this, we don't waste money because that plaque is going to come down very soon when we change the plan of what we're doing anyway. So essentially it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. So going forward, I would just appreciate more discussion before these decisions are made.
Well, that's what number 8 is for.
Yeah, I'm just saying, going forward in general, not just about plaques. Just wasting town's money. Do you know what I mean?
All right, so the plaque will be put up. Apparently, it's kind of a favorable thing. Councilor Daniel, okay, no objections to that as well, so we'll put that up, okay? Thank you very much. All right, I'll move ahead for public hearing tonight, or public speaking rather tonight. Anybody has anything to say, they have 3 minutes to speak on any of the agenda items for tonight. If anyone would like to speak, please come forward, state your name and address, and we'll go from there. All right. We have nobody approaching us for this, so we're going to move ahead.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstract number 22 of 2026 dated 6/3/2026.
Second.
Discussion? Any board comments on anything? I know some people have emailed others, which I do appreciate that we're getting this abstract stuff done in private because it does make the meeting go a little quicker. So thank you all for doing that. I have no questions as well. I would like to call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to appropriate $2,520 from Revenue Budget Code 002-0000-1520-0001, additional detail revenue, to Expense Code 002-3120-4300-0000, auto repairs for reimbursement for fuel and maintenance from Patillo Vinargo?
Close enough.
Close enough.
I will second. Do we have any board comments on this?
So I have probably a fundamental different philosophy on budgeting and what's in the budget and all of that. So I'd like to share my views and my thoughts. This money is unbudgeted money. It's, we didn't even know about this when we wrote the budget. The opportunity came up to earn some additional revenue, to offset, any additional expenses that may occur from using the vehicles. And this is in particular the police vehicles that are monitoring over by the Micron site. My philosophy when it comes to extra money and budgeting is just because we got it doesn't necessarily mean we should immediately appropriate it to another expenditure line. At this point, there is still about $16,000 in that line, about half, maybe a little less, of what has been budgeted for auto repairs. So what I would like to see happen on this kind of an item here or going forward in any other place where we have unbudgeted revenues is that just goes to the fund balance. And that sits there until, if indeed we get towards the end of the year and we go, oh my goodness, yes, we're going to exceed the 35K that's been budgeted, so we need to spend it, we can do a budget mod then. But if we find ourselves in the happy circumstance where, hey, we're not going to exceed the budget, we're going to hit the 35, well, now that's money that could be worked into next year's budget for either this or, effectively it's the town's money. Maybe it goes elsewhere. But I'd rather not have the position of, oh, we've earned extra money, let's put it on a budget line right this year. Let's wait until we need it, and then we can move it. And if not, then we've got it for next year's budget.
Okay. Any other comments on this? I agree with Counselor Daniel. I think that it's probably better to put it in the line, but also when it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, you're going to spend it for something. So that's kind of my opinion.
Well, this would also eliminate if something comes up, say you needed something for some paint for striping, for the parking lot or something like that. Then we could slide it over to that if we needed to do that versus assign it and then reassign it. Not saying it would, we'd totally take it away from that department, but we could reassign it in different aspects to that instead of putting it under one.
Totally hear what everyone's saying. But if there would be one place to put it, it would be where it is going. Our cars are being used a whole lot more now because of this. So I totally see what everybody's saying. I'll be voting yes for this one, just for the sheer fact that our cars are being used a ton for this. So I'm under the assumption that, I hope I'm wrong, but things are probably going to break on vehicles. So
yeah, no, again, I don't think this is an inappropriate place to spend it. It's just a different philosophy I have in terms of budgeting and how to appropriate funds. So, again, there's nothing wrong with this expense, but again, on the off chance that we're under 35K, well, then it didn't need to go there in the first place, and we're all set for the coming year.
I think going forward, your theory makes sense in most cases. I think just for this one, for me, because the cars are being used, and that's the only reason why we're getting this money is because we're beating up our cars a little bit more and we need that, then I'm for this. But I do understand what you're saying, and I think in most cases that would make sense.
All right. I agree with what's being said. I think this might take a little bit of an attitude shift that we can't just, like you said, hey, we've got money, we need to spend it now. If there's a reason for spending it, fine. If not, we put it back into the fund and then we use it as needed. So, all right, I'm going to close discussion unless anybody else has something to say. For this particular motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Abstentions? The motion is adopted. Whereas the New York State Budget Bill enacted January 20th, 2021 contained provisions related to the legalization and taxation of sales of cannabis products in New York, and whereas the town of Cicero chose to opt out of allowing and licensing of legal sales and on-site consumption facilities, within the town boundaries pursuant to Section 131 of the cannabis law by the proper passage of local law number 1 of 2022, which was filed with the New York State Secretary of State on March 15th, 2022. And whereas the New York State Cannabis Taxation Act also allowed municipalities that have chosen not to participate the ability to opt in at a later date. According to the rule of legislative equivalency, opting back in requires adoption of a new local law. Accordingly, it hereby moved the adoption of a resolution calling a public hearing on June 24th, 2026, commencing at 6:00 p.m. local time to consider local law number 2 of 2026 of the town of Cicero, whereby the town of Cicero will consider the adoption of a new local law number 2 of 2026, whereby the town of Cicero will choose to approve the legalized sale of cannabis products in the town pursuant to the New York State Cannabis and Taxation Act. The town will not consider approval of on-premises consumption facilities. Do I have a second to approve this hearing? I call again for a second for this hearing. I call a third time for a motion to approve the hearing. Since we have no second, we cannot proceed.
Crest Grant Senior Bus. Move for the adoption of a resolution to authorize acceptance of DASNY Crest Grant funding and authorize the supervisor to execute all related documents. Whereas the town of Cicero has been awarded funding through the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, DASNY Community Resiliency, Economic Sustainability, and Technology Program, CREST, grant for the purchase of a minibus for the use of the Cicero Senior Center. And whereas said grant awarded is in the amount of $120,000 under project ID number 30146. And whereas the minibus will be utilized for trips and programs serving residents age 55 and over within the town of Cicero. And whereas the town board finds it to be in the best interest of the town to accept said grant funding, authorize execution of all required grant documents. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Cicero hereby accept the DASNY Crest grant in the amount of $120,000 for the purchase of a minibus for the Cicero Senior Center, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor and town comptroller are hereby authorized to execute all grant agreements, certification, reimbursement request, and other document necessary for the administration of said grant, and be it further resolved that town comptroller is hereby authorized to establish and maintain the necessary budget accounts for said grant project, including revenue account 001-00-3089-5004 state aid Crest grant. It's a long one. Expenditure account 001-6772-0200-5004 Senior Center Bus Crest Grant, and to make an additional accounting entries necessary to properly record said grant in accordance with applicable accounting requirements, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be taken immediately upon its adoption.
Second.
Okay, board discussion, please, on this bus.
Was there limitations as far as what you could use this for? Was there very specific, like why did we choose the senior center bus?
There was limitations, and this was one of the things that was in a need, and the amount of money that we asked for, this was what we felt best needed for.
Okay, what were the limitations?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Like, does it have to be used for seniors? What was the actual grant? You know what I mean?
Crest grant is a state grant. I don't,
It's on.
okay, sorry. Yes, it's a community grant. Anybody can apply for it. We've used it previously for canteen or some stuff. In previous years, so no. Yeah, thank you. So anyways, no, it's not specific for seniors. It's, yep, yes, the pickleball courts.
So is this ongoing and we have to keep reapplying every year and then we get awarded it?
So you can apply for something else. next year. So they have these grants every year, so you have to have a specific goal and you have to kind of be backed and have people in your
So
favor
when you
for it.
apply, you have to say what you're trying to raise the money for?
Correct. Yeah, what's gonna be used for. Yep.
Okay. I guess kind of along what Chris is saying, maybe going forward, I know we can't do that now because we put that on the application, but when we're applying for these types of grants, I would like us to know and be a part of that discussion and decision-making as to where that money is going to be used, especially if we expect to be able to be awarded those grants,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
We've been talking about purchasing a bus for
Yeah.
a long time. So
Yeah,
this came up and I didn't know that you weren't aware, but yeah,
yeah,
it was kind of, a senator had passed it on and said that this would be the way to go to apply for this money.
sure.
So it's why we went with this grant.
Yeah, and that's my opinion. I'm just speaking for myself.
No, I mean, I think, again, this is a great way to spend this grant. Congratulations and thank you for taking the initiative to move forward with it. Going forward, though, I do agree that anytime there is a grant that has flexibility in its expenditure that the town is applying for, I think it should come before this board to decide, is that how we want to use it, or should we use it in another way?
Yes.
Rather than, because I don't know exactly who made the decision or to pull the trigger in this particular case for the bus, and maybe that's how we would have decided, but as the ones that are financially responsible for the revenues and expenditures of the town, I think the board should have some oversight when applying for these grants.
Okay, any additional discussion on this?
This was talked about from the previous administration as well, going and moving forward. When they asked what our big ticket price would be, was the senior bus, and that's why the senior bus was picked.
Okay, any other,
I agree with what everybody's saying up here, and I also appreciate how you said that you were advised that this was the best way to go forward to get the money. I think that's very important for us to know because, I mean, when we're making our decisions, we got to weigh our odds and say, if we're going to go for new desks and we're not going to get the grant, the odds are less to get the grant, and the bus is the better route to get the grant. We want to make sure we choose the best option, to make sure that we're successful getting the grant.
okay, any other discussion before I call for a vote? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion is adopted.
So Robert, not a professional, but I wrote this myself, so we'll see how it goes. Town recognition display. Whereas the town of Cicero held its first town meeting in 1807, beginning more than 2 centuries of local government and public service, and whereas since that time, many residents have served the town of Cicero in elected office, contributing their time, leadership, and dedication to the growth and success of the community, and whereas these elected officials have played an important role in shaping the history, growth, and direction of the town of Cicero, and whereas the town board wishes to honor and preserve the legacy of all elected officials who have served the residents of Cicero from 1807 to the future, and whereas the town board supports exploring the creation of an elected officials recognition display to honor all past, present, and future elected officials who have served the town of Cicero. And whereas such display may include, but not limited to, a permanent honor wall at Town Hall, a historical timeline, a frame display, a digital archive on town website, an interactive kiosk, a plaque with a QR code, a photo and name gallery, a public service wall graphic, a historical book or binder, or another appropriate format that recognizes the names offices held and years of service of elected officials who have served the town of Cicero from 1807 to the present and future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Cicero formally recognizes and thanks all past, present, and future elected officials for their service, commitment, and contributions to the town of Cicero. And be it further resolved that the town board supports exploring the creation of an elected officials recognition display with the final format, location, design, and content to be determined at a future town board. And be it further resolved that the town board may work with the Historical Society, town staff, and other appropriate individuals or organizations to help research, verify, and preserve the historical records needed for this recognition project. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Anytime I can do resolved. Bam.
Can you read the options, Counselor?
It's separate.
You
So
want to keep
the,
that
the,
separate?
the options were in the,
Yep. Yeah, we've got the options. I didn't know if you wanted to just read those out for
so
public.
they were
record.
in the
They're
motion.
pretty-
Yep.
That's fine. Okay. All right. So at this point,
Second.
I'm asking for the motion. Thank you. I was getting to that page. There we go. All right. Let's have some discussion on this. What do we think?
I think this is a great way to move forward with it. This ensures that, you know, it's going to preserve town history. I think working with the Historical Society is great. And it sets parameters so that it isn't a unilateral shoot from the hip decision to award plaques to random people and skip others. This sets the parameters going forward so that it is, you know, we're recognizing all of the people that have given of their time and energy to support and grow this town, because they all deserve their place in history, and going forward, those folks as well with this recognition.
Okay. We've got a lot of options. We can obviously talk about that later. So we're going to basically vote on, we are going to pick one of these options. Is that correct? Okay. So any other comments on this?
Do we want to put a date stipulation on it? To have something done by a certain date?
That would be fine.
I left it vague just to,
When would you like to see it?
I guess it's up
Next
to all of
meeting,
us.
perhaps,
I don't
or-
know. I guess
Do we
we'll,
have to have
there's-
it on it?
no,
Like that we don't, no.
no.
Leave it open for discussion?
I just,
There's-
historically speaking, if you don't put a date on something, it doesn't get
Yeah.
done.
It might be a good idea just to put like a follow-up date, you know, not that we have to have a final decision, but,
Revisit
you
it.
know, that we'll report back at such and such a date with, you know, a shorter list of options, or, you know, because there may be various things that we're going to weigh and consider depending on costs and things like that. So maybe we'll revisit this in 6 months, 3 months. What is-
Let's just have periodic updates, Counselor Bacallo, as you're going to kind of champion this whole thing. We'll just kind of get to you, and then you can kind of give us updates at board meetings, and then we'll just go from there and see where we are, okay?
I'd
That
like
work?
to go with a date.
You want to go with the date? Okay.
Tracy, what's the first meeting if you have it in front of you in August? I feel like it's enough time to.
Yeah, there's
Yes, we
none.
only have one meeting, so it's fourth meeting.
The first meeting of August.
So the first meeting in August.
The only meeting in August.
Okay, so
Like
The-
whole week.
August 20, or no, I don't have it. August 26th.
Perfect.
August
I'd like to amend the motion to have date certain of August. What was it again?
August
26th.
26th.
Thank you. August 26th.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? We've picked a date, we've picked a movement, and now we'll just vote on that. So now the new motion, and we have discussed, is we're going to vote on it. It's going to be August 26th that we are going to have further discussion and implementation of this plan. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, the motion is adopted.
Move to adopt.
Supposed to vote on the amendment and
Oh,
then
I'm
the,
sorry,
My
resolution.
bad. Let me vote on the amendment to change it to the 26th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on the 26th. All in favor of the amendment to the 26th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and abstentions. Good. Okay, so now we'll vote for actually having the discussion for the plaque when we have our next meeting on the 26th. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, discussion on that. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion carries.
Move to adopt a resolution to appoint Michael Marizio as ad hoc planning board member for the remainder of the term starting 1/1/2026 through 12/31/2027, with the recommendation of chairperson Mark Marzullo. The rate per meeting will be $107.69 with a start date of July 1, 2026. Budget code 002-8020-0100-0000.
I will second. Okay, do we have any board comments on putting Mr. Marzio in the planning board?
I have some comments on this. I know back in the January organizational meeting, we had some conversation and discussion about this, and as a board, we all agreed that we were going to bring new energy, new people to the planning board. We all agreed as a board, the five of us, that that was the best thing to do in the best interest of the town going forward. And we all know that the opposed or the appointed individual has served on the board, also served as an elected official as well. So that goes against what we agreed upon. And I also did not know, me being the liaison for the planning board, I did not know that we were actively seeking anyone, and it wasn't brought to my attention at all. I have been working, talking with other people that would be potential fresh candidates for that board. And I also had a conversation with the chair as well. So I would like to make a motion to table this item. And
We
as a-
did have, well, okay,
as a board, we should, if we're going to go against the decision we made in the January meeting, we should have that discussion to fall back on that we're going to appoint past members.
absolutely. However, I would like to point out, Counselor, that since the passing of Judy Boyke, we have had an opening in this planning board. We have put things on our website. We have reached out to people. We've gotten one response. And
Mr.
that is the
Supervisor,
response right
I
now.
don't believe anyone on this board, it was brought to their attention that we're actively seeking that.
Well, when somebody passes, I'm sorry, I thought I
And I'm
probably
not-
could have made it to your.
Right.
So we did have an
Because
opening, but at this point.
We have other candidates
As a
available. We
point
have
of
a-
order, I believe there's a motion on the floor to table this right now. Is that how that would work?
Fine.
So
Okay.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
For the table?
For the table?
David,
Yep.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I oppose, abstentions, motion is adopted. It will be tabled.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and authorize the supervisor to execute the fireworks permit from the Northern New York Displays Fireworks LLC to be held at the Oneida River South Shore, Bartell Road, Brewerton, New York, on Friday, July 3rd, 2026 at dusk, and to accept the $100 permit fee. All documents have been approved and acquired signatures have been obtained.
Second, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion is adopted. Catch basin purchase, motion to move for the adoption for a resolution to purchase 15 2x2x2 catch basins and 5 2x2x4 catch basins from Sunny Crest Incorporated in the amount of $9,800 from budget code 003-5110-4551-0000, highway repairs, CB F&G risers, no contract.
Second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adoption. Move for the adoption of a resolution to purchase ADS plastic pipe assorted from Steel Sales State Contract PC 70694 in the amount of $20,000 from budget code 003-5110-4554-0000 highway repairs Type R pipe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board comments, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. Move for the adoption of a resolution to have Circle Road, Frontage Road, Hogan South, and Hogan Drive area striped by Apex Striping in the amount of $6,604.80 from budget code 003-5110-4590-0000 highway repairs miscellaneous. Do I have a second? We do. Thank you. Any board comments?
The only thing to add as an additional note, Mr. Woznicka sent an email that the contract number had been admitted for Onondaga County. So for the record, contract number is 0011041.
Hey, thank you. Any additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention,
Aye.
motion is adopted. Move to adopt a resolution to hire Anthony Salvati as a part-time seasonal laborer for the Highway Department at an hourly rate of $16 per hour and a start date of June 16th, 2026. Budget code 003-5110-0105-0000, summer help part-time. Budget code 003-511-4590-0000, highway repairs miscellaneous. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Approved consolidated funding application, CFA submission for purchase of a vacuum truck to assist with MSA requirements. Move for the adoption of the resolution approving the submission of a CFA to provide funding to move or to purchase a vacuum truck for catch basin cleaning and allow for supervisor to sign all related documents. If awarded, $400,000 will be available towards the purchase of a new vacuum truck. The remaining amount of funding, approximately $110,000, will need to be provided by the town of Cicero.
Second? Okay, I am seconding. Do we have any board comments?
Yeah, I was in touch with the highway garage about this. So this would be a future year expenditure most likely. So this $110,000 isn't in the current year budget because by the time it gets approved, it'll be next year. So this will be something that we'll want to make sure that we keep on the front of our minds as a potential expenditure for 2027 when we're working on that budget.
Thank you. Additional
We-
comments?
We do get a lot of use out of our vac truck. I know the years that as old as ours is, from my experience, 3 to 4 years is when they start to get tired. So, I mean, this is a very good investment for the town.
Thank you. Additional comments? Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is adopted.
Parks and Recreation, Nature Activity Leader. Move for the adoption of a resolution to amend the pay rate of Dominic Fudge from $16.50 an hour to $17 an hour. Budget code 002-7140-0105-0000. Day camp personnel. The amended pay rate request is due to a change from camp counselor to nature activity leader. Dominic will now be in charge of planning and facilitating nature activities for the summer day camp program.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so any discussion on this? Nature activities during the summer? Sounds good to me. So anybody have any comments on this? Okay, I'll close discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. All right, that brings us to the end of our program. Having public input, again, 3 minutes for anybody to come up and make any comments.
Were we going to use discussion to talk about the?
We're going to do the discussion right after the comments, so.
Okay.
So I'm just going to get this out of the way if anybody wants to talk, so apparently no one does, so.
I did want to bring up with Lakeshore Road, we got that email today, how they're going to be replacing the bridge on the east end,
Yes,
starting,
we're into discussion, so yes, go ahead. Yep.
the contractor schedule estimates closure on July 6, 2026, the completion of the work, opening the road traffic on September 15th, 2026. So that's going to be limiting traffic flow going east on Lakeshore Road.
And we've reached out to the Onondaga County people about this, and they're going to get us information in a press release form that we're going to put on our web page as well as all of our social media. The board has been informed of it. Now the town will be informed of it well in advance. So but I thank you. Okay, any other discussion that you want to bring up before we adjourn tonight? In that case, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
We were supposed to discuss the options.
You want to discuss, I asked, do
Yeah,
you want to
reopen
discuss the
meeting.
options? That's fine.
We just said this 3 minutes ago.
Did you? Well, we didn't say definitively we're going to present them all and.
I asked you
discuss.
3 minutes ago and you
You
said
have
you
your
were into
time,
the public
Counselor,
input
you have
first.
your time.
Would we like to discuss?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're discussing the different options for the. So I guess my initial thoughts would be I like the idea of something physical and tangible. So a town website, digital archive, maybe as a supplement, but I think it would
I
be,
think it's a great idea as a supplement.
Yep.
Yep. Do we all concur with that?
Yes.
All right, we'll get that out of the way. So that's
Yep.
supplement town website. Perfect.
I like something on the wall too. I just think that we could do something a little more minimal and more easily transferable in case we ever move. So not something so big. So maybe like the plaque where it's just the names.
The nameplates.
Yeah. Where it's not, each person gets their own plaque, but it's just the nameplates on each large
And the
plaque.
date and the
Yeah.
position. they were-
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
long.
Since
I
we're,
think that would be more cost effective. Sorry.
yeah, since we're just thinking like, I think that we said all elected officials, not just,
All,
right?
Yes.
So would it make sense that it would, because there's gonna be a lot of people, you know, there's a supervisor, a counselor, you know, rather than trying to put it all on one plaque.
What I was thinking, yeah, have
We could-
a category for each,
We
right?
could do that or another option, just to throw an option. I'm good with whatever we decide tonight, but we could do it like in a 10-year frame. So you would have your supervisors, your counselors, your highway superintendent, your clerk and all that
Within-
within a 10-year frame, you know, say 2000 to 2010, or we could go back to 1807 to 1817. You know, they would be, you know, maybe back then we'd shrink it, you know, because depending on how many board members we had back then when we do our research, but that way they would be grouped together. Just a thought.
I don't dislike that.
I don't either.
Oh.
Would it be helpful just because we don't really know, like to see what that looks like on paper? or,
I'll reach out to Tracy and
know
ask
what I
what
mean?
what that
Just-
general number is.
Like how many supervisors in this span or how many, you know what I mean? I just think that it might be helpful to know when we make our decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
It will be sizable.
The 10-year thing might make more sense because we have so many.
Timeline clustered into 10 years perhaps might be
Yeah.
applicable, so. And then we would have to decide what we do with the ones that will be on the wall at the current time.
Do we,
so.
do we give them to them, or do we make a donation to the Historical Society to bring the history for years to come at the Historical Society? Or what we could do is they say, give them on loan
Hmm.
to the Historical Society, and then they could go back to the family or whatever if the Historical Society decide they're done with them.
I like that thought because they
Sounds
were
good idea.
purchased with town funds. So to keep it, you know, owned by the town, but on loan to the Historical Society for a display, I think that's a great idea.
Guess we just run into the same type of situation. Like, why are there some people's names displayed at the Historical Society? Like, are we just gonna end up in the same
True.
situation? That's the only
Probably.
reason why.
Probably, because
Right.
there was a,
Reason why I just say, let's just give them to the family so that they can do what they
It'd be
want. with
it'd be a
them.
talking point in history for the Historical Society, say that the town
They can
board-
tell the story of the debate.
the town board decided to take the
Their own exhibit of town board and town supervisors.
well, there's also there's the judges too over here,
Oh, well, yeah.
right? So it's not just the ones in the back.
Right.
Right, yeah, 'cause
They're-
we're gonna have judges, yeah, they're elected.
So there probably would be value going over there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I believe the requirements for the individuals over here were different than the requirements of the individuals in the back, which does need to be
Oh.
noted.
Again, I just think that this would eliminate this if we just give them to the families. We don't have to like keep revisiting this fair and unfair.
Robert, we
thing.
could do that. You could just make them surplus and give them to the families, right?
Just,
I'm sure we could figure out a way.
Yeah,
I haven't thought about it, but.
not a high priority.
it's just, that's just my thought. I don't want to keep revisiting this. So
Yeah.
maybe we could avoid that by giving them to the families.
We can figure out something.
Yeah.
I have-
Right.
Okay.
So the records, is most of that in your custody, or can the Historical Society help with, I don't know what they have over there?
They've got a ton of records upstairs, those record books. I don't know how far back they go.
How far back do your books go? The books that the town board signs, how far back do those go?
1800.
Really?
Yeah.
That's probably the that's probably the document. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
because that's all elected officials in that book, right?
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments on this before we end the meeting today? Good discussion.
So we have our supplement for the town website.
Mhm.
And then do we have, so I think, like, don't get mad at me if I say this, but I think the majority of the board wants something that's physical on the wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we're all, okay. So then I'll work on designs for something physical on the wall and we'll put it on the town website. All right, cool. Thank you all for helping with that tonight.
Thank you. All right, anything else we want to discuss before we adjourn our meeting tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'm calling for a vote. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Nay, abstention, motion is adopted. There being no further business before this board, meeting adjourned at 6:40 PM. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening.